have anything because it gives it away on YouTube. But wow, thanks everybody. So my name is Jeffrey Simpson. I have been in Tulsa for quite a while. My parents got married just across the street over there at the same church my great-grandparents attended, my grandparents as well. My great-grandparents moved to Tulsa in the 1920s to start a business, and so entrepreneurship runs in my blood. Now, I want you guys to think, it's a nice chilly morning this morning here in Tulsa. Just imagine yourself sitting like on Waikiki Beach here in Hawaii with crystal blue water. You've got a Mai Tai in one hand, your sweetheart's hand is in your other hand. The water's lapping at your feet, the bleached white sand. And you spend a wonderful afternoon. And it's getting on later in the afternoon, and you're getting a little hungry. You forgot to make reservations, but you decide to go down to a restaurant that some friends of yours have suggested, just a couple of blocks down. And so you get up and you walk down to the restaurant. Nice place. You get in there. It's a little busy. You go up to the host stand. Say, I'd like a table. Say, sure, we've got a table. We've got 45 minutes to an hour. And then they hand you a buzzer. This thing, you didn't see the host wipe it off. There's no telling where this thing's been, how many times it's been to the bathroom, how many kids have had this thing in their mouths. You have no idea how disgusting this thing is. But you take it because you're hungry and it's beautiful there and you want to eat. And so, of course, your next question is, can I go down to the beach? Just a block away. Of course, their answer is no. And the waiting room's full. And you're stuck sitting on the curb outside. 2 blocks or stone's throw away from the beach. This is my inspiration for diner connection. And sometimes things just happen. Around a few years ago, I was working in Chicago on a business trip, and I had a couple days free. And about that time, there was a company in San Francisco called Twilio that had just introduced their API for sending text messages with code. Well, given these couple days, and I thought back to my time in Hawaii, and I said, what can I use text messages for? And so I wrote an application called Waiting for a Table. And I turned it into a contest that Twilio was running. And what Waiting for a Table is, it's a web application that sends a text message when your table's ready. The restaurant uses this as a wait list and clicks a button instead of using the coaster pagers. And so you can walk down to that beach and you can find out when your table's ready without having to touch that buzzer pager. So I won the contest. I had restaurants calling me that week. I had it in a restaurant within 2 weeks. I renamed it Diner Connection and launched it formally in September of 2010. I now have that product in restaurants across the United States and Canada. So now, I'm going to change gears a little bit. Now I want you guys to imagine yourself as a rock star. Maybe a guitar player, maybe a drummer of a band here in town, maybe a banjo player. And so you start out, you start playing gigs, you know, and you want to do things to play the gigs that get you more groupies, fans. And so you realize the more fans you get, the more albums you sell, the more merchandise you sell, the more money you make, the more gigs you play. It just kind of snowballs from there. Now, what do you do to get those fans hooked into what you're doing? Well, you decide, let's put a paper back on the merchandise table and have people fill out their email address. Well, I don't know if you've been to a concert, but I've been to a concert, and sometimes they sell alcoholic beverages at these concerts, and not everybody can really have legible handwriting. And if you're the guy trying to enter all these emails into the computer, and you don't get many people signed up anyway, it's tough. And you don't get very many people. You maybe get 3-4% of your audience signed up on your email list. What if, instead, everybody pull out their phone? What if pull out your phone, you text your email address to this number right now. In the middle of a concert, you stand up and you ask your fans to text in their email address. The first night after I wrote Scoutflash, or when I wrote Scoutflash, the first night this was in use in a concert, we signed up 50% of the audience. I got their emails. We can sign up thousands of people in seconds. We have bands across the United States, and starting to branch out into other verticals. We have marketing companies that are using Scofflash to collect email addresses because it's the easiest, most efficient way to collect email addresses. Now, both of these are web applications, and both of them I sell as a software as a service. And so every month they pay us money to provide this service. Our largest variable cost is the text messaging cost, and it's been a really great experience. Scofflash won a contest at 2012 South by Southwest, and we started getting notoriety that way. And so that's Scofflash. And my partner is a lead singer in a band out of Austin, Texas, and so he has music contacts and gets us into different people we can tell about Scofflash. And to continue the tradition here, here's my two boys, the reason why I do all this. Thank you.
Jeff, time's up.
You can open it up to questions, so anybody has.
The software for Diner Connection, I priced it at $149 a month per restaurant. And just as comparison's sake, the buzzer pagers for a starter system for a buzzer pager cost anywhere between $2,000 and $4,000 for a smaller restaurant. And each of those pagers costs about $75. And on average, a restaurant has to replace 2 a month. And so we are very price competitive with the traditional buzzer pagers. And Scott, pardon me? The health, yes, bless the health rhythm. Scofflash has different plans based on how many fans you have signed up per month. Our starting plan on that is $20. We're considering moving to a per fan price, like a 5-cent per fan sign up, and so we have, so we're able to price a little differently. Right here.
So with the Diner Connection, do you have a piece that wants to identify your
Right, so the question is there a promotional piece that's tied into Diner Connection? So there are a few ways that we can capture customer information from Diner Connection. The first, obviously, is the phone number. And we do offer marketing messages for those phone numbers specifically within Diner Connection. We also have the ability for the restaurant to collect the email address when they first sign in, put their name on the list with Diner Connection. One of the other features of Diner Connection is that it has a follow-up comment card feature. So 2 or 4 hours after you dine or the next day after you dine, you as a restaurateur can configure a comment card and put one of those fields into the email address. And so we can send you, text you the link afterwards, and they say, how's your waiter, how's your food, what's your email address, would you like to receive marketing messages from us? And so we also integrate, along with the text messages, similar to what Scofflash does. Scofflash integrates with MailChimp Constant Contact and FanBridge to push email addresses and contact info. We do the same thing in Diner Connection, that we integrate with MailChimp Constant Contact. We take that email address and with phone numbers and push those into your marketing systems. The question was, what's the response rate for the comment cards? I haven't looked specifically for the restaurants. It's a smaller, I'm guessing probably, my guess off of what I've seen, maybe a quarter of the people, which is huge in the restaurant business, because most of the time, the comment cards just disappear and nobody fills it out. So we have a very good response rate for the comment cards compared to traditional.
You said you're exploring the verticals or places to put your product into. Like, are there some currently you're really trying to get into right now? Like, for example, like to use your texting and all these things. Like, what are some of the other places you're trying to get into?
Right, we are, right now the vertical we're looking at is event promotion. And sorry, the question is, what are the other verticals we're looking at for Scofflash? And so Scofflash specifically, we're looking at event promotion companies that have a vested interest in gathering email addresses and social contacts. One of our customers is actually a startup themselves out of New York City that they had an opportunity to put a postcard or a little flyer in a packet for a bunch of people. And so they wanted to use Scofflash, their Scofflash number on there, and just ask people to text them their email addresses. as a way to build their email list. And so it's just, like I said, the most efficient way to collect email addresses. And other customers, other verticals are seeing that. So right now we are approaching the event marketing.
Honestly, your products are
Right. So the question is, how has my experience been with Twilio compared to other texting services? So I have a little story. The story is, I have Canadian customers using my products, and Twilio did not offer international texting components at the time that I had Canadian customers interested. I went with another texting company, another texting platform, and built the ability to support other texting platforms inside of my applications. I had very bad experience with these other companies because their services were not up to par. I get dropped messages, not delivered messages. Their APIs worked, but it was unreliable. I have not had any instances with Twilio that have caused any concern for me. They've been rock solid. I haven't had any downtime with them. I haven't had any issues with drop text messages, and they've been a fantastic partner. They still continue to support me today, and I've built many applications using Twilio and for other people, and we're all happy with them as well.
so at this point, are you using
I am using only Twilio.
Looks like a lot of the first customer start out regular company with, or
The question was, what was it like monetizing my first customer? And so pricing is always kind of that voodoo of the SaaS industry. There were, when I introduced Diner Connection, there ended up being some other competitors in the market, and so I priced it $99 a month, and that was, and we put a cap on the number of text messages, so 2,000 to 3,000 text messages for that $99 a month. I then changed the plan later on to $149 a month with unlimited text messaging, and I did not receive any pushback from people on the east and west coast of Canada. I have pushback on that price point from the Midwest, specifically the Oklahoma, Kansas, and Texas area. They seem a little more, I've seen resistance on the price point there from the Midwest, and so it seems about the right price to me. I have raised the prices, and I haven't had any pushback where it counts.
well, the question is, typically, there's flat prices very long.
So the question is, do I have just one price or are there tiers? I do offer a bulk restaurant discount, so if you have multiple restaurants that you're signing up, so I have a national chain in Canada that's using it, so when they hit a certain number of restaurants, I get a percentage off the price. I do offer a discount for paying a year in advance as well. So right now it's month to month at $149 a month for Diner Connection. I do charge extra for marketing messages, because you're sending those in bulk, which is a little extra, but $149 a month per restaurant, and then a discount if you have 10 restaurants.
How do the restaurants or the event promoters overcome the resistance to give your phone number to unknown?
Certainly. So the question is, how do the restaurants or event promoters overcome the resistance of somebody giving their phone number to them? In the case of the restaurants, Diner Connection can, most of the time, people are, I'd say most of the time, we've seen more than 99% of the people give their phone number to the restaurant. Those other less than 1%, I don't know if those are people that don't have numbers or people who are resistant to giving them numbers. But we also support voice calls, so it can actually call you and say your table, tell you your table's ready instead of text messaging. So we cover the demographic of people that have a cell phone that don't have text messaging. So my experience is that over 99% of the people that go to restaurants that have Diner Connection are okay giving their number to the restaurant.
Are the restaurants using it in conjunction with their existing systems, or are they replacing their?
So the question is, are restaurants using them in conjunction with their existing systems or replacing existing systems? In my experience, the restaurants aim to replace their existing systems, and they do not have buzzer pagers anymore, and that's the case with, I mentioned the chain I have in Canada. They go through restaurant by restaurant and just, I don't know if they sell their pagers, but completely get rid of them because this replaces the pagers. Back there?
Do you guys have any back-end metrics that you can track to see who are repeat customers and how many days they install
So the question is, do we have any back-end analytics that can look at how many customers, things like that? So yes, I do run analytics on customers and on restaurants across different customers. And I have done some analytics that show, what time of the night is the busiest, the longest wait. If you show up with 4 people at 6:30, that's your longest wait. Break it down by what your party size is versus your wait size is. And so I do offer all those analytics. And so it's pretty interesting to look at restaurants and how many, I was surprised a little bit how many single people there are going out tonight. And there's a bigger percentage than I thought. But as you can imagine, the 4-person party is the most popular size, and then it usually has the largest wait time because of just the busiest size. But I do offer those analytics.
I'd like to ask Jeff our main question here. How can we, the community, help you in your company?
Certainly. Well, the way the community can help me is, of course, I always looking for customers, and so everybody seems to know somebody who works in a restaurant or has somebody knows somebody in a band, so that those introductions are always important. What I like to see in Tulsa is and what we're doing here is the growth of the entrepreneurial community and helping us both support-wise, just emotional support, gathering advice, and also looking for peers and encouragement and looking for mentors. And so what I've done is I've tried to look for mentors. We've done some cool things. We've got some awesome press. With Diner Connection, I made it on the Mashable. I made it into fastcompany.com. Made it into Restaurant Business Magazine. Just a couple weeks ago, I made it to the Wall Street Journal, which is awesome. This past week, I got an email from People Magazine asking about Diner Connection potentially for an upcoming issue. And so we get exposure nationally, and we've gotten exposure locally, and just looking for that community support. And of course, sales is always a good one too.
Awesome. I'm going to hand it over to Katie here.
Okay, so we have a few announcements before our next speaker. But tonight we wanted to remind you about the event that the Mine is hosting at the Dust Bowl. It's from 6:30 to 8:30. And they're going to be talking about the Buffalo Lounge's interactive pitch competition. So if you're interested in, about learning more about that, check out the Dust Bowl tonight. And then a reminder that the Global Entrepreneurship Week starts this Saturday and it runs until next Friday, the 22nd. There are a few events that are being put on, and you can check out all the events at tulsagew.com. The Source Link and the Chamber are hosting an event next Friday, the 22nd, from 11:30 to 1:30. And then I2E is hosting an event next Wednesday, the 20th, from 3 to 4 p.m. And it's for several pre-selected early-stage startups, so similar to 1 Million Cups. And they're going to be delivering a short presentation and Q&A afterwards. And it's focusing just on Tulsa companies. And then there's also an event for the Entrepreneurial Gathering Place. It's a networking reception on the 20th as well, from 4:30 to 6:30. So I know those are a lot of events, but if you want to check out tulsagew.com, it'll give you more information for locations, times, and a little bit of a description as to what the events are going to be providing. And then also, if any of y'all are interested in helping us out as a 1 Million Cup leadership team, we have a few items that we would love to have the community help us with. So if you are interested in helping us out, please see Brad afterwards, and he can give you a little bit more information as to what we're looking for in specific. So without further ado, our next presenter is Chase Curtis with Sway Medical, and he's going to be talking about his technology company that is a mobile medical diagnostic app.
How's it going, guys? So my company is Sway Medical, and I want to go through talking a little bit about what our company is, but also kind of set the stage for that. So I think everybody in this room can probably agree that healthcare is a mess at this point. Trying to figure out how to solve that problem is really what we're focusing on, and it's really a big goal. So some of the things that we really know about healthcare is obviously it's financially unstable. It's not sustainable. We can't keep that going. We know that this system is shifting towards a pay-for-performance model, right? The pay-for-service, you walk in, the doctor charges you for as many services as he possibly can to make his bottom line. Is not an effective way to do it. We're shifting, and we know that. We're in need of cost-effective and verifiable outcomes, right? So I need to know in order to pay for performance that people are getting better and how to quantify that. And then we're really seeing the adopting of mobile technology. We really think that can improve efficiency. So what we've seen since 2009 is a huge shift in the adoption of mobile technology within the physician's office and medical professionals. 25% of medical professionals would use or prescribe mobile technology in 2009. This year it's 90%. It's a huge jump. And I think you see that across the board, especially for an industry that's so slow to adopt technology. So see, these are some of the companies that are working in the healthcare space. You've probably heard of AirStrip, AliveCore, which is a company started in Oklahoma, Glucose, Cellscope. They all do different types of mobile medical diagnostics, usually with hardware add-ons. The way that we're different is that Sway is an FDA-cleared product that uses just software, right? So right now, what you do to do a Sway test is you take a device like this or your iPhone, press it against your chest, and we do a balance test, right? So we use that for concussions, we use that for fall risk screening, we use that for quantifying outcomes from physical therapy to be able to track rehab. So if any of you have an iPhone right now, if you go to the App Store and type in Sway Balance, download it, we'll get a chance as soon as the question starts to kind of play around and do some tests with it and have some fun. I'll give you the login as soon as we get in. But what we're trying to build, and what we have built, is a HIPAA-compliant software platform to be able to do mobile diagnostics and add in other tests beyond just balance. So we're working on things from reaction time to eye tracking to adding on some of these other type of companies that are building really cool solutions. We really think we can be that platform between physicians and patients and EMRs. So our value proposition is that we take the subjective assessment of somebody and make it very objective across the board. So what have we done? We've raised $1.3 million in the 2.5 years that we've been a company. We've gotten FDA clearance and to market in under 2.5 years. Clinically validated with some big research partners like KU Medical, Wichita State, Duke, Georgetown, and a bunch more. We've validated our business model in the last 2 to 3 months with high activity. We have over 400 medical professionals now using it. They've performed 10,000 tests, so they're actually using it, not just buying it. We have strong strategic partners in many different spaces, from EMR to concussion testing. Our go-to-market strategy, sports medicine, hammer that in, and really try to build viability and visibility in that market, and then expand to physical therapy as well as geriatrics, which is fall risk screening, and more of the senior market where we know there's a huge use case, from things like Parkinson's to Alzheimer's to side effects of medications as they're prescribed. Right now you're prescribed a medication, you go home and you come back in 6 months and tell me how it went, as opposed to we can do real-time diagnostics of the cognitive, vestibular, and different type of effects that that's having on you, so your physician can communicate with you. So some of the things that we're working on, some of the intellectual property that we filed, we obviously have our balance patents filed. We also have reaction time. We also have some really cool stuff using things like Google Glass, right? So we play around in our lab with Google Glass trying to do assessments of motion using changes in pixelation and things like that. So some really cool kind of forward-thinking things going on with our company here in Tulsa, and love to have other people involved to kind of collaborate on those projects. What our customers are saying, this is the future of athletic training, since that's our current market. This is truly a disruptive technology. We get that from physicians that are using it, as well as the athletic trainers and medical professionals. And that's kind of a cliche thing to say, but we get that quite a bit. I'm very impressed beyond my expectations. I've tried Sway and I think it's great. And then a really cool one, which is Sway has made us completely rethink the way that we manage patients. That was just really cool to hear that, a 2.5-year-old company that's been able to build an FDA diagnostic on a mobile device with nothing but software is getting that type of response. So kind of to beat Tim to the question about how can the community kind of help us, I think the biggest thing about what 1 Million Cups is so cool is it brings everybody together to support the tech companies and other type of companies that are here in Tulsa. And what I'd really like to see is the community kind of rally around the companies, from Moxie Software to some of the other companies that have presented here, to really help Sway and other companies really build those millennial tech companies that I think spur entrepreneurship and growth within the community, so that we're no longer just thought of as a oil and natural gas type of city, but that we have industries from healthcare to social technology to restauranting to whatever it is. And I think that's the best way that I think that we can get your support. I guess the graphics can mess up on that a little bit, but follow us on Twitter, like our Facebook page, do all those types of things that help support Sway and pass that along to your community. Because if we can get everybody to help support not only our company but the other companies that present here, I think we can do some really great things with promoting Tulsa and what's going on in our community. So that's all I have. So for those of you that downloaded Sway, want to give it a try, the login info for that is demo@sway.md, and the password is impact, I-M-P-A-C-T. So if you want to download it, you can try it now or try it later. Give it a try. We'd love to test your balance and get you into our database of 10,000 plus users in the last 2 months.
Is it available on Android or just Apple?
Yes, that's a great question. We get that a lot. Right now it's just Apple, and the reason for that is all of these devices are consistent with their motion detectors, so their accelerometer and gyroscope are consistent across the devices. Android, you have Samsung, LG, name the different device. We're actually validating our Samsung platform right now, and that should be out early next year. It's a big question we get a lot because it's 50-60% of the market. We typically see medical professionals much more on the Apple platform, but it's obviously 50% of our market, so we're working hard to get there.
Chase, what was that username?
Demo@sway.md, and the password is impact, all lowercase. Yeah, I mean, I don't think an on-site balance test would probably be useful, but the future type of assessments where we're doing things like eye tracking and things like that, I think that's part of what's so powerful about the platform, is it creates that communication between providers, because it's not only here, but it's also synced to our HIPAA compliant server, and that comes right to a medical professional. So I think the use case for us is much more focusing on patient engagement, and how do we get the patient to engage with the medical professional. And I think one of the things that you see is kind of a hurdle to the mobile health industry is that everybody's trying to be consumer facing and sell directly to consumers, right? Fitbit, name a different company of different solutions. And we really think going through the medical professionals is the way to really develop the platform to kind of create that communication network. Right, no, absolutely. And that's the goal, to be able to catch those things before it gets to that point. That's obviously the big issue with the healthcare system, especially with something like fall risk, being able to screen that and know who is the 10% that need to have those preventative treatments. So there's kind of this the question was, I use iTriage and having that consumer-facing approach. Have we looked at that as a company? And the answer to that is a long, diluted answer that runs on and on. But essentially, a lot of these companies in the space have focused in on communication, so they haven't really met those requirements of FDA diagnostic and those kind of regulatory hurdles, or they've just avoided it and gone to market anyways. We really think that the regulated aspect of really showing that this is a true medical device going through the FDA is a big value differentiator. And so we want to go through the medical professionals because we think that's the best way to get real long-term use and distribution and communication, as opposed to let's just launch the market and then try to support that launch too. We've definitely looked at partnerships to be able to add this onto platforms that do things like activity tracking and maybe some more fun use cases like sobriety testing is the one that always comes up. But at this point, we're really focusing on trying to be that platform, that bridge between the medical professionals and the patient.
You found that in a lot of people that tends to
So the question was, have we had pushback from customers wanting to adopt this? Our first market, being kind of the sports medicine market, it is that clinical model of because we've really focused in on those sports medicine clinics and their outreach to athletic trainers. We've actually had really positive and great adoption from those users. So anytime we do an in-person demo, we get 100% of people signing on. They just really like the coolness of it. I can use my phone or my tablet that I use for documentation. So we really haven't had much pushback in that way. I think from the athletic training world, which is very cost averse, with being able to add that into a high school budget, is something that we've definitely battled with a little bit. But our price point is really low, and the goal is to kind of push adoption so we can create that platform for someone beyond that. But no, we've had great responses. Doctors love it. They love the ability to do a $20,000 force platform test, which is their whole device here or outside.
Chase, have you had any pushback from the athletic training space on you having information that they may not want to know?
In what way?
Like concussions, like as it relates to concussion diagnostics. There's a lot of things going on where people maybe prefer to not have that obligation of knowledge. So what's going on? So like how do high school athletic trainers, I mean, I had a conversation with the OU athletic trainer who said, I don't want it.
So the question was if we had pushback from athletic trainers on kind of the feedback or wanting to know whether somebody has had an injury within the space. And we haven't at all. We really, I think the biggest thing is athletic trainers, athletic directors, and just in general, the entire departments of the athletic world is battling with the liability of this with contact sports. I mean, you see reports like even yesterday where another kid died of a head injury playing football. And I think, I don't want to state that that's obviously a huge deal, but I think the concussion topic as well is a lot of times is overdone on, that is such a huge epidemic. I think it's definitely something that needs to be addressed. I think a lot of people are addressing that, but there's also a huge important role of sports. So I don't think we should overblow concussions. But back to the athletic trainers, we haven't really had any pushback from them in wanting to know. I think they do want to know. I think that athletic trainers are one of the kind of underappreciated medical professionals in our system, and I think they really do want that data. We've never heard that kind of response if we don't want to know. So it's a unique kind of thing we haven't heard of this.
Do you find that your clients have any issues with HIPAA or protected information concerns? And if so, how do you ensure that?
Yeah, it's a big question. So the biggest concerns over HIPAA. So we constantly fight this thing that I like to call the angry bird psychology, which is this is a gaming platform and nothing else. And people have a really hard time buying into the fact that this is secure. That's a big question that we get. Probably the biggest hurdle to adoption, and where I think we still have to go over the next couple of years. We are HIPAA compliant. That's a big selling point for us. We are FDA cleared, which is a big selling point for us. We go through all of the metrics that we need to meet that. And if somebody is still uncomfortable with that, it's more of a technology aversion, I think, than being concerned about the platform itself, because it is secure. It's just as secure as your computer that's doing MR testing. It's just a remote, which somebody can pick up and walk off with and have some of your data, but they can also pick up a paper chart and walk off too, right? So I think that's something that we definitely fight, but I think we're not going to win that battle if it's something that they're stuck on. So the question was, what's the size of our company? Where are we at kind of currently in the state? So right now, we are 7 employees. Most of them are here in Oklahoma. Actually, 6 of them here in Oklahoma, 1 in Oklahoma City, 5 here in Tulsa, and then we have 1 in Pittsburgh that does all of our quality control and regulatory work. Right now, our development staff is 2. We're looking at expanding that in the next 6 to 12 months, adding 3 more developers that are focused in different areas from kind of API integration type focus, as well as kind of database, PHP type focus, skill takes more of it on, as well as kind of a role in the front. So We're looking at that as well as the commercialization side of hiring on 3 to 4 sales reps to really start pushing this, because we haven't done that to this point. Focusing on proving out viability within the current market. I'm sales staff of 1 at this point. So, and I've done a pretty good job of it through 2 months. We are close to $30,000 in sales in that time. So again, it's not where we want it to be, but that's part of fundraising and going through the phase of the going through.
I do want to ask you that for you. And I know they've definitely tightened up on promotion, testing and all that because of everything that's happening. So I know that would be really helpful. You said that maybe market or target type of trainers is in person, or how would they? Because I know mine at least have not even heard of this.
Sure, no, absolutely. So our biggest kind of pipeline through the concussion world is with a partnership with a company called Impact. They're kind of the mainstay if you've ever done concussion testing, which if you have, you probably know Impact because that's who is being used. They have a 90% market share within the concussion testing world. So we partnered with them. We've worked on distribution opportunities through them. That's a big piece. And then a lot of it is just digital marketing. We have a marketing system where we work on leads and who's clicking through our marketing materials so we can follow up with them in person or a phone call. It's not just picking up the phone and calling XYZ athletic trainer. It's aggregating that data of their contact info, sending out marketing materials, seeing who's viewing, who's clicking, and then following up with those to kind of substantiate. But yeah, if you'd love to pass our software on, we've got a lot of it, so you can do it for us.
The same question says.
Could you explain a little bit more about the
Yeah, so it's something that we're still in the early stages on. We have a couple of partnerships that we're working on in that space. But where eye tracking is really useful is for the neurological conditions, which balances as well. So concussion is a big one. If we can look at things like smooth pursuit of the eyes, so as you're watching something on a screen, you can see does their eye jump and have a saccadic movement where it's smoothly tracking that. It's also useful in things like MS, things like alcohol intoxication, things like stroke. There's plenty of different kind of use cases for being able to look at neurological function from a vestibular standpoint, from an ocular standpoint. There's a bunch of other stuff. That's the goal, right? Is to use this platform to do all of that, so we don't have to sell add-on hardware. I think at some point as a platform, we will add on things, that may be able to link in or sync into our system and be able to work with those hardware companies. But our goal really is to take the low-level technology that's in this device and be able to do medical-grade diagnostics, so that if I'm a physician and I hear about sway and see the things I can do with it, I can be up and start it within 2 minutes, right? And I think that's kind of a powerful approach to be able to do that testing.
What is the incentive process there to ability to?
So the question was, what is the M7 processor that's in the new iPhone 5S? What role does that play? To this point, it doesn't play a whole lot of role. It's a dedicated processor to just the motion sensors. For those of you who don't know what the M7 processor is, so it lowers the energy usage for some of the things that we'll be doing from a motion standpoint. It continually can collect accelerometry data. So you can do things like activity tracking without having to have a Fitbit type technology to be able to do that type of platform. So that's where we see some potential. If I'm a physician, I want to be able to track how active my patient is. We can use that without the hardware particularly that needed. But from the standpoint of our technology right now, it improves accuracy. Because one of the things that you see with accelerometry data is it's constantly pinging the processor, and if there's other stuff going on in the phone, which there always is, sometimes that time gap shifts a little bit to where it's not perfectly on the same interval. It's not a big interval change, but if you do a 10-second test, sometimes you get 99 data points or 101. So it helps with some of the consistency of that, but it's constantly in the same number. So a little bit on accuracy, although it's not a big factor. But overall, I don't think it's a huge variable other than being able to do some of the Sure, no, absolutely. So the question was, what's our pricing model? What's our business model? How are we approaching that aspect to it? So what we've tried to do at this point is we're constantly fighting, like I said, that angry psychology with this being a medical platform. So what we've really tried to do is get that low price point. Right now we charge $199 per year, and then $50 per year per additional medical professional. So we have one group who is just about to sign on, it's New Jersey, has 300 doctors. They'll pay somewhere in the $10,000 to $12,000 range, which is really low compared to what they'd be paying for a single force platform. As opposed to somebody like ORU who might have 2 or 3 athletic trainers, or there's 3. So we know it's a really low price point. What we want to do is try to drive adoption from that so that we can upsell additional features like the additional tests that we're working on to be able to generate that as a revenue model, and then work on the individual prescription to where I can charge you $3 to $5 a month to be able to track yourself, and we have that pipeline because we're so that's kind of the general approach that we're taking to the organization.
Advantages or disadvantages versus those on a bigger city?
Yeah, so the question is advantages, disadvantages of moving to Tulsa for our type of company. I'm actually from California, in the Silicon Valley area. Went to school in Seattle, which is another kind of big technology-based city. I moved to Wichita, Kansas to do my graduate studies, and then here in Tulsa. So the advantages of Tulsa, it's a smaller community, so I think having these type of discussions with a group like this, you can reach pretty much everybody in Tulsa to know what's going on and be able to have those relationships. And some of the other entrepreneurs that are in the community, you know who they are for the most part. So I think that part is great. The disadvantages of Tulsa, I think, are there's not a great connection from the entrepreneurial community to the investor community. And I think a lot of that is they just don't know who people are operating in. And I think to invest in companies, you really want to know and be comfortable with the industry to be able to make that. So we don't see a lot of that in Tulsa as opposed to some of the bigger cities where there's more opportunity, more investment for people who know what they're doing in that industry. So that's kind of what we juggle with. We love being in Tulsa. Funding? Yes, we've raised $1.3 million to this point. We are kind of kicking back into the next fundraising phase right now to work on that commercialization product that we've proven on the market. So our goal, or what we've done from fundraising and how we've been successful in that is we've raised most of that money internally with angel investors here in Tulsa, which is sort of motivated by the technology, by kind of what we're trying to do is kind of our big goals to take on the healthcare system. We've also used organizations like I2E investment in those rounds, support in the space. But a lot of it is just coming down to what is the message that we're trying to get across. I think we've done a really good job of presenting what our technology platform is, as well as what kind of our vision is for changing healthcare, with some granularity on where we see the business model and the kind of revenue focus being and how we drive to that model. Really focusing on how we really create a real value proposition in the market. So I think those are the successes of raising funding. Our key failures have been, the Midwest is much less risk averse to the investments that they make. I think they much more want later stage and more guaranteed with less potential return on investment. Whereas on the coast, you get much more of, sure, why not? We'll take a risk on a 90% failure company if you have that 10%.
Did you try to go through the whole Silicon Valley capital
to this point, we haven't been a great candidate for venture investment because we've been so early on, and we've also, which is kind of desperate to continue that process. We started engaging in more of those conversations from San Francisco to Dallas to Philadelphia, New York, and all the different areas in the last couple months. But there's some great local firms here too that do quote unquote venture funding, but they're smaller. So there are some great firms here that we've had discussions with. We just haven't been a great candidate to, for that type of investment. Like, show me that somebody's going to buy this, somebody's going to use this, and then let's work on putting that money to get used as opposed to I've done this 4 times. I've sold 4 companies, so taking a chance on me is an onset back to you, which is
I don't know what exactly it would take, but you mentioned when you're able to do one-on-one demonstrations, typically supply or whatever. Athletic trainers do a national convention yearly with their leadership typically. I don't know what it would take for y'all to go there, because that's trainers from all over the U.S. come together in one place. They're being profitable.
yeah. So the comment or question was the National Athletic Trainers Association conference in June would be a good platform. We went to the last previous Athletic Trainers Association. We haven't launched quite yet, so I think being available for purchase and those conferences would be really useful. We're going to 11 conferences this next year, from NAT or APTA, which is physical therapy in February, to NATA in Indianapolis, to sports medicine, orthopedic society, to geriatric focus events. So that's a huge, obviously, that's where I think a lot of medical professionals get their new products is in through conferences like that. So that's one of our big focuses for this next year, is to get that contact. And really, one of the big things that we're trying to drive for conferences is making it fun, right? Being able to have people test and have some kind of gaming environment with that within the conference. And so we're working on things like that to make it more appealing. Absolutely, huge for us.
Would you share that revenue with like a medical provider? Is my first question. And would you be open to like customer, like if we're going to say this hospital is what we offer, so they can brand it on doctor to their hospital, and so they share revenue.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think we've looked at those type of opportunities. We've looked at white labeling even within the concussion market. The problem is the partners that we would possibly work with in that area don't necessarily meet the regulatory hurdles, so it's easy for us to just keep our brands and go through that way. But absolutely, I think the real potential for revenue through the end user is the communication with the physician, right? I think that's big. I think that's what global healthcare companies at this point that are solely consumer facing and struggling, they get the 5 to 10% kind of techie millennial, I want to track my steps, and they use it for a month, and they're like, okay, great, next thing, right? Or there's the 2% use case that continue to use it. But I think that communication with the physician is huge, and I think that we can work on monetizing that as well. So if you can send a text message to your doctor on a Saturday, who can respond to you, and it costs you $15, is that worth the communication as opposed to having to go through the healthcare system, wait at the office when you can have that easy response of, yeah, no problem, you sprained your ankle, take a picture of your ankle, send it to him, and he says, yeah, just ice it for the next 72 hours, let me know if there's this, that, or the other, here's a prescription, by the way. I think that type of interaction is where the healthcare system's going. We'd love to be a part of that. I think there's an opportunity for upcharging the system.
Let's give it up for Chase.
All right, just a recap. His ask was follow him on Twitter, hit him up on Facebook. Let's give Moxie some love as well. Do you guys have a Facebook page, Moxie? What is it? You know, Moxie Software. Okay, easy. Good enough, guys. We will be here next week, Global Entrepreneurship Week. I know you guys are going to be buzzed out on coffee. Bring a friend. Come have some fun with us next week, and then we won't have it the day before Thanksgiving. I know people want it. Some of us are traveling. So, that said, have a great day. We'll see you next week.